coming up on this edition of ATV News.
He's the one that's going to have his day in court and face the judge.
We'll show you how cops say all of this could have been prevented.
I just spent $45 gassing up my car. I'm Annika Johns, and I'll let you know how much the gas prices have been increasing and the best way to decrease your spending.
Real Salt Lake sold out their first 2 games this season. I'm Jake Ellis, and I'll show you why. Part of that is due to youth soccer players.
One day this week is going to be amazing for anything you want to do outside. I'll tell you which day in weather.
Justin Bean declared for the NBA draft, and over the weekend, the A lit up blue, then white, then blue, then...
All that and more, this is ATV News.
These are the people we have to get off the road.
Troopers say road rage and a high-speed car chase is what led to this crushed Chevrolet Impala. Welcome to ATV News. I'm Emma Faiths.
And I'm JC Caldwell. The driver of the crushed car is in Weber County Jail today.
Utah Highway Patrol says they originally tried to pull the driver over because he shot a gun at another car on I-15.
Yvonne Bass takes us to the crash site.
Utah Highway Patrol troopers look for a gun that might have been thrown from 22-year-old Dakota Anderson's car when it rolled. Sunday at about 5 p.m., a driver called 911 saying someone had shot at their vehicle. The caller says they were around Smith and Edwards in Box Elder County. UHP says Anderson drove at high speeds through Sardine until they reached the mouth of the canyon, where backup was waiting with
spikes to try to spike the vehicle tires.
A tow truck picks up the car for further investigations. Brenchley says Anderson hit the spikes without slowing down. This caused him to lose control and roll. Brenchley says Anderson appeared to have minimal injuries.
He was able to get out on his own.
Brenchley says when the troopers apprehended the suspect, he admitted to having 4 guns in his car,
all of which were loaded.
The caller says the suspect shot at their car at least 3 times and missed. The caller says they had no injuries.
When I first got here, there was only one lane of traffic open. But now that they've cleared off most of the emergency vehicles, traffic is as usual.
Brenchley says he feels all right with how the situation turned out.
I am definitely okay with this. I mean, it would have been great if they didn't get in a road rage in the first place and if people would have just relaxed and cooled off.
Brenchley says aggressive driving never turns out well.
Oftentimes the person that initiates the road rage and loses their cool is the one who loses in the end. And in this case, this gentleman, he's the one who crashed, and now he's the one that's going to have his day in court and face the judge.
Yvonne Bass, ATV News.
Dakota Anderson was arrested on 14 charges, including aggravated assault, felony discharge of a firearm, possession of a dangerous weapon by a restricted person, and failure to stop or respond at the command of police.
Cache County Sheriff's Office says they're continuing to investigate after they say Skyview High School got a threatening call. Students were put on lockdown Monday but were not asked to leave campus as deputies investigated. They say they found no actual danger but are following up on leads.
If you've gassed up your car recently, you may have noticed the price going up. Annika Johns shows us how much these gas prices have been increasing and how residents of Logan are feeling the impact.
To many, the sound of filling up a car with gas fills them up with anxiety.
Definitely it's affected me mentally and emotionally. I don't like dropping $70 or $80 to fill up just a small car for gas, but it's you've got to fill it up, you gotta travel places.
Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, gas prices have gone up in the U.S. and residents of Logan are feeling the impact.
I've always been very careful and consistent with my budget, but now this is affecting that too, which is gonna play into my groceries and what I can eat, kind of keep living where I'm living. Just a $20, $30 difference every week doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up.
Obviously, if you're fueling every 10 days and your fuel cost goes from $30 to $60, that's a problem.
I drive a 2013 Ford Fiesta. Last year, it cost me $30 to gas up my car. This year, it cost me $45. According to the American Automobile Association, this is the highest gas prices have been since 2008.
The current average price of regular grade gas in the U.S. is $4.24, up $1.36 from last year. In Utah, the current average for gas is $4.36, which is a 38% increase from 2021's average. If we take a deeper look into Utah, Piute County is currently sitting on top with an average of $4.71. Daggett County is at the bottom of the list with a $4.20 average. Cache County is currently the number 2 county in Utah for the lowest gas price average, sitting at $4.28. In Logan, the current average for regular grade gas is $4.28. A month ago, that average was $3.38, and last year the average price was $3.19, which is a 34% increase. It's about the same for mid-grade, premium, and diesel gas prices. For Logan drivers who are worried about gas prices and are looking for a way to cut their spending, Cache Valley Daily reports that the free transportation bus system through the Cache Valley Transit District is expecting an increase in ridership. USU students can also use the free shuttle system to get around campus.
I would strongly encourage folks to use the transit systems in the valley. Both systems are a great value. The CBTD obviously is free. Aggie Shuttle is paid for by the students, so why not use it?
But for those who still prefer their own car until the prices go down,
It's like we have to fill it up. Like it's not really a choice.
Annika Johns, ATV News.
AAA has reported the national average for gas prices is going down, but slowly. The chance of prices increasing is still possible, but right now it's too early to tell.
Yeah, you know, when I fill up my car recently, I'm just trying to not look at the price. I just fill up, pay, and hope for the best.
Yeah, I totally get that. I am seriously considering investing in a bike.
Yes, definitely. But gas prices aren't the only thing that inflation and the Russian invasion is affecting. I took a look at what other areas are getting hit hard and what that could mean for the weight of your wallet.
How we doing? Hello.
You'll get a nice greeting when you step into the island market, but the bill might not be as nice these days.
Inflation has shot up much more than most people were anticipating.
The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the change in prices for grocery store goods. In February, bread went up 1.3%, dairy 1.6%, and eggs 0.9%. What does this mean for local stores like the Island Market?
We have to go through and retag the store on a more frequent basis, and unfortunately it's just more work.
But economists say the price of your gallon of milk isn't just a result of the war in Ukraine.
The inflation is the aftershock of the pandemic.
Now, this small stack of change might not seem like a big deal, but the Island Market says with these rising prices, you might just be trying to save on quarters, nickels, dimes, and pennies.
Customers were purchasing name brand stuff before, and now they're looking at more generic products just to maintain the availability in their household for toilet paper or, soft goods.
Ringing up items might give you a little shock for now.
I do think it will get worse before it gets better because of the war.
But experts say not forever.
I don't think things are as bad as some people are perhaps wishing they were, actually.
Emil says the Island Market is approaching 100 years, and he says it's all thanks to loyal customers willing to spend a little extra.
Turning now to the coronavirus pandemic, let's take a look at COVID numbers across the state. There have been nearly 927,000 cases in Utah since the pandemic began, with almost 34,000 hospitalizations and just over 4,600 deaths. In the Bear River Health District, there have been just under 51,500 COVID-19 cases, with 2,015 hospitalizations and 238 deaths. USU reports their cases a little differently. At the university, there are 130 active COVID cases. 7 new cases have been reported this week. Total cases for the spring semester come to just over 6,700.
Now the weather is getting warmer and I'm definitely ready for it. I'm a little tired of walking to school in the cold. Yvonne Bass joins us live from the quad and she's soaking up a little bit of that sun herself.
Thanks, Emma. That's right. I'm out here on the quad. I just had to come out and show you guys how beautiful of a day it is here in Logan. If you look behind me, there's some people soaking up the sun, laying in the warm grass. And then on the northeast corner of the quad, there's the Suicide Prevention Coalition with a deep fryer selling some French fries for their cause. I had one and it was actually pretty good. Now this warm day isn't going to be the only one this week, which I will tell you more about after the break. The current temperature is 54 degrees. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Yvonne. And also coming up.
It's something you don't recognize unless it's happening to you.
This team got statewide news coverage. Why one team member isn't happy.
How can we keep making it the best that it can possibly be?
We'll show you how the Inclusion Office is working to make housing better for students of all genders.
The Surplus Store. Someone's trash is about to be my treasure.
We have cords and cables here. We have bags full of towels and sheets. Do you want this fold-up mattress? Because we don't.
We got keyboards, paint cans, whatever this is, typewriters, computer monitors.
It's destiny on the line.
Wait, so the
and we want you at Surplus.
Products are not guaranteed to work. All sales are final. This commercial is not endorsed by Utah State.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason. Because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Welcome back. Now you may not be surprised to hear that there are less women engineers than men.
I talked to some female Aggies in the STEM field and learned more about the challenges they face.
You want to get the middle one a little bit, and then those look good.
This is a soldering iron, and this is Donna Metcalf, the electrical lead on USU's gas team. After the gas team received publicity from multiple news stations in Utah for launching a satellite into space on January 26th, Metcalf realized that she wasn't highlighted in any of the stories, despite what she says playing a big role in the accomplishment.
It's a little jarring when you can be the electrical team lead for the upcoming projects and not be featured in any interviews with any news programs or anything like that.
But she says she doesn't blame her teammates.
It's not on purpose. It's something you don't recognize unless it's happening to you.
And engineering isn't the only program at USU that is male-dominated.
What do you think of when you think of an engineer? What about a mathematician or even a scientist? Many of us think of a male, and this is no surprise to women in the STEM industry. But for some female students here at USU, they're pushing back against this stereotype.
I think it's a stigma that's just been taken too far and people don't realize.
A 2020 research study revealed that not only do males dominate the STEM field, but women in the industry only make 74% on average of the earnings that men make. According to one biochemistry student, one remedy for this is to have more female representation.
Like, it's intimidating, it kind of is, especially knowing that it's a male-dominated field. Going in, you kind of have to stand your ground. Here at Utah State, I know we only have one out of, I think, 5 or 6 biochemistry professors as a woman.
From what I can tell, I've had to put in extra work to get the same respect as the other guys on my team. I'm now at a point where I can talk to them and they respect me in the way to understand that it is a different experience.
To learn more about Metcalf and women in STEM, you can find a link to an article on our Facebook page.
College students gather to work as a team to hack something new. USU hosted a hackathon where students challenged themselves to create or hack various programs and systems in 24 hours.
Hackathon is a little bit of a misleading term. It makes people think that they're going to be hacking into something, but it's really a word that means you hack something together, or you just throw it together as fast as you can to a point that it works and it's made and it's done.
Overnight, students worked in teams to create and code something new. It gave those students a chance to show how fast and accurate they can come up with a program in a limited amount of time. Now, overnight, that is a long time to be staring at screens when it's so nice outside right now.
I know. I drove to campus today, turned my AC on for the very first time.
Yeah, and Yvonne Bass joins us for weather, and she knows a little more about that sunshine.
Thanks, Emma. That sunshine did feel nice. And I showed you what it was like here in Logan, but let's take a look at what it was like on the East Coast. You can see they're experiencing some storms right now. Actually, Louisiana is recovering from a tornado that was pretty hard on them. On the West Coast, we're not a whole lot going on, but if we look closer at Utah, you can once again see, if we can take a closer look at Utah, yes, there we go. There's not a whole lot going on here either, but we might have something coming up later in the week. In the 7-day forecast, Monday and Tuesday are our most likely days for some precipitation, 30% and 24% chance of rain. And I told you that there was going to be one day that was the best day to go outside, and in my opinion, that is going to be on Saturday with the most sun and that great number for degrees, 70 degrees. I feel like that's just perfect for me. So if you like the sun, I would recommend going out on Saturday. And then of course, Thursday and Wednesday, you can see the temperatures just slowly rising before they drop on Monday. That is, you are all caught up on weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Yvonne. Housing rules regarding same-sex roommates could change in the years to come. Kainoa Johnson shows us what change USU Housing says is coming and when.
In the Inclusion Center, work is underway to change some on-campus housing policies. Traditionally, all on-campus housing requires same-sex room assignments, but that may be a thing of the past.
We have students, they'll come out and like on campus and stuff and feel like they have to have shields up. They have to have barriers and things like that. And we want this to be another inclusive space where students can just be fully, authentically who they are and just be embraced for who they are.
USU is implementing a new gender-inclusive housing pilot program this fall. The program will allow transgender and non-binary students living on campus a choice of the preferred sex of roommates they would feel most comfortable living with. Some students say they wish this option had been available sooner.
When I was a freshman living on dorms, I had shaved my head that summer, and so I was very obviously queer looking, and I didn't genuinely feel necessarily that safe on my dorm floor that I was on. I felt judged by the cisgendered woman on my floor, and I think that can carry on not only necessarily in the dorms but in the classrooms.
The sign-up process began March 15th. Students wanting to sign up must enter the roommate arrangement as willing partners. After the trial year is over, the university will assess whether the program was successful and whether it should continue.
I'm here at the Student Living Center, currently the only available location for gender-inclusive housing. But Erica says hopefully there will be more locations available in the future.
After this first year, if it goes well, again, is either expanding it, looking at where the placement is that the best location, looking at all these other different factors and what was their experiences too.
Lindstrom says the goal is to give students a safe and welcoming environment to come home and be themselves without the fear of judgment or hate being directed towards them.
It's really important. It sets the narrative so that queer students and trans students on campus are here and we are appreciated and we're welcome on campus, and I think that's really important going forward to create a safe space on campus.
For me, any student that just feels that they're fully embraced and loved here, that's a success for me.
Kainoa Johnson, ATV News.
You can find a link with more information on how to register for the program on our Facebook page. And coming up,
I was pleased. It's hard to tell, man. It's a completely different team.
we'll show you how Coach Anderson is preparing the football team in sports, and
it's a win-win all the way around.
how Utah State's softball team did in the Aggie Classic.
Getting into RSL games, I think, is huge for the education of the players.
We'll tell you how RSL is making it easier for these kids to watch the pros.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
2-2.
Oh, chopped her swing.
You may recognize one of the announcer's voices as Jake Ellis from ATV News. Orozco hit the ball and to right center, and McFarland scores a run, just off screen. This would be one of many for Utah State against the University of Maine. Welcome to this edition of ATV Sports. I'm Nathaniel Gillis, and let's get back to Utah State softball's Aggie Classic. The Aggies may have started strong in this game, but the Black Bears swung back in the 5th inning when Neblas homered center field to bring the Black Bears 3 runs ahead of the Aggies. The Aggies were behind the Black Bears for the rest of the game until the bottom of the 8th when Lexi Orozco doubled to right center and Hawker and Thornton scored, making University of Maine 7 to Utah State University's 8. While it may say 9 on the scoreboard, there was a debate on a technicality, and ultimately the referee decided that only 2 players would cross the plate. In the second game of Utah State versus University of Maine, Castrita gets a walk and Rayleigh runs on a pass ball for the first run of the game. Utah State would continue to stack up the points through the 4th inning, where Rayleigh would triple and McFarland and Medina would run. Orozco would then single to left field, and Rayleigh would score their final run, on the game, leaving the Aggies at 7. University of Maine would get on the scoreboard in the 6th inning, but it wouldn't be enough. The score, University of Maine 3 and Utah State 7. Now, those are only half of the games the Aggies played at the Aggie Classic, and for you Aggie fans, you better buckle up for these next games. The real showstopper for Utah State versus Idaho State University was Angelica Cano. Cano would hit a home run at the top of the 3rd, bringing the 3 runs for the Bengals, but that wasn't all. Cano came back to the 4th to hit another home run for the Bengals to score another 2 runs. The Aggies were playing catch-up the rest of the game. Idaho State University won with 12 points, where Utah State University scored 6. The second round between Idaho State and Utah State seemed promising for the Aggies when Castrita singled through the right side and Rayleigh scored, but it wasn't enough when Cano came in to double to right center and score 2 runs for the Bengals. ISU would go on to get 1 more home run in the 6th, and USU would also score their final point in the 6th. The final score was Idaho State 6 and Utah State 2. The Aggie Classic was a little half and half for the Aggies, but the coach and players were most excited for the new field. The field looked like this, but now it looks like this. Coach Johnson says the main differences are the turf field, padding on the outside wall, and the field no longer has a 3% downgrade. The coach says players are safer because of the new field, and it feels good.
We actually have a place that we can really be proud in. We can take a lot of pride in out here, and it really shows off to not only the rest of the department, but the university and the community as a whole.
Coach Johnson says Phase 2 of renovation involves moving the dugouts and putting up a net for the safety of the crowd. The Aggies start conference play this Friday against the University of New Mexico. Utah State track's team went to Arizona and won 4 titles at the Willie Williams Classic. Gia Malone took first place in the high jump with 1.6 meters, or 5 feet 2 inches. For perspective, that is roughly up to my shoulders. Junior Bailey Brinkerhoff took home the 2nd title for the women in the 3,000 meter steeplechase with a time of 11 minutes and 10 seconds. That means she was running a little over 10 miles per hour. On the men's side, sophomore Kelton Chenworth took the title for high jump at 2.5 meters, or above 8 feet. For perspective, that is more than 2 feet above my head, letting USU sweep both men's and women's high jump. Senior Zach Mayer claimed the final title for Utah State in the 110-meter hurdles with a time of roughly 14 seconds. Women's gymnastics won its first ever Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference. The team scored 197.025 overall, which ranks the 2nd highest score all time in USU history. This is the 6th conference title since their first at the Western Gymnastics Conference in 2005. Men's tennis lost this week to the University of Portland. Men's golf tied for 3rd with Weber State at the UC San Diego Invitational. Aggie football springtime training started this week, and Coach Anderson says he's ready to move forward. Passing, running, and tackle training were on display at Excuse us, I think we have a cat on the board or something. This isn't the right video.
Crowds of RSL fans walked into Rio Tinto Stadium for this
season's
season's
preview of what's
home
coming
opener.
up later. Hey, I'm back. So let's jump back into football spring training. Running and tackle training are all things you could see on the board. Coach Anderson says even though they had a good season last year, he's ready for this season.
As soon as we got through with all the confetti and the trophies, I'd already moved on in my head. That's just the way my mind works.
USU's first game will be against the University of Connecticut August 27th, and the location is still to be determined. Justin Bean will not be returning for the 5th season of Utah State basketball. Justin Bean scored an average of 11.4 points per game for the 2021 season. He finished second on the team with 224 rebounds and led the Aggies with 38 steals during the season. Justin declared for the NBA draft in a tweet that said, "After talking with Claire, my family, and Coach Odom, I've decided to go my final year of eligibility and declare for the NBA draft." He said he is excited to take on the next step in his journey. You're all caught up on Utah State sports. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Nate. Real Salt Lake partnered with Utah Youth Soccer to help get more kids to games. Jake Ellis explains how this will affect Pee Wee soccer players in Cache Valley.
Crowds of RSL fans walked into Rio Tinto Stadium for this season's home opener. Many were youth soccer players from across the state. They got their tickets from a partnership between RSL and the Utah Youth Soccer Association. The two organizations announced every UYSA player can get one free ticket to any RSL match this season. Practices like these help players get better, but coaches say watching professionals helps even more.
You learn so much by watching the game. I can tell the players that I have that watch a lot of soccer versus those that don't, their soccer IQ is much higher. And then you're limited on what you can see on TV. Getting into RSL games, I think, is huge for the education of the players.
Ashley Steele has seen a difference in her kids' performance after they watch professionals play.
Every time they watch a game, they learn more. I think you learn just as much watching a game and watching the spacing and, as you do playing, because really observing every little move just helps them be a better player.
Coaches say programs like this will help the growth of soccer in Cache Valley.
In the future, we're going to have a lot of professional players here in the valley. So that's pretty exciting. There is a lot of young kids that they know how to play the ball.
There are a lot of players now playing Major League Soccer who grew up watching Major League Soccer.
LaPlante thinks another ticket initiative is more important. He likes the new section named after RSL's captain, Damir Krylak. It's called Krylak's Corner because he donates the tickets to underprivileged kids.
Damir seems to really relish leading by example, and here he's provided a great example for the community of how to use your privilege in ways that help other people.
It's getting kids interested in soccer that may not even have had it as an option. So I really like that they do that.
For some teams and families, the free ticket will create an opportunity to bond.
I'm excited that they gave us free tickets. I told our parents and players I want to go as a team and use it as a team building experience.
Definitely, we're going for sure.
Jake Ellis, ATV News.
We put the link for the UYSA players to redeem their free ticket on our Facebook page.
Now, you might think of a museum as a quiet place, but one USU museum got a little bit louder this weekend. Sound machines, acrylic sculptures, and painted statues greeted people at the Nora Eccles Harrison of Art Museum's 40th anniversary. The rare Saturday evening event had live music and food. The museum director says they are a land-grant museum, so their admission is always free. You might see things you don't see other places.
We are the only art museum in this state that is focused on modern and contemporary art of the Western United States.
The museum is open Tuesday through Saturday, and admission, like you heard, is free.
Thanks for joining us on this edition of ATV News.
You can find this and previous editions on our Facebook page.
We'll leave you with some more shots of the Real game.
Have a good day, Aggies.